Have you ever had that strange feeling when someone's name pops into your mind for no reason? Or when the sound of their voice makes your day brighter, even if they just said something as simple as, "Good morning"? Well, let me tell you a story. This is about Mia, a young woman who didn't even realize she liked someone until her feelings started messing with her daily routine. Her journey might just remind you of someone you know, or maybe even yourself. Let's dive in. On the beginning, an ordinary day with a twist. Mia had a pretty predictable life. Every morning, she'd grab her favorite book and head to her local coffee shop, a quiet little spot called The Perk. It wasn't fancy, but it was cozy, and the barista always knew her order. A caramel latte, extra foam. One morning, as Mia sat in her usual corner, nose buried in her book, the doorbell jingled. She barely glanced up, but then she heard it. The sound of a voice ordering a black coffee, no sugar. It was a deep, calm voice, and for some reason it caught her attention. She peeked over her book and saw him. A guy with messy hair, a casual hoodie, and a charming half-smile. He looked ordinary, but something about him made her curious. Weird, she thought, shaking her head. But from that day on, she noticed him every time she came in. And it wasn't just that she noticed him. She started hoping he'd be there. 2. Realization starts to bloom. A few weeks passed, and Mia's routine subtly changed. She started timing her visits to the coffee shop, hoping to accidentally bump into the mystery guy. She didn't even realize she was doing it until one day her friend Claire called her out. "Mia," Claire said during their usual phone chat, "why do you keep talking about the guy at the coffee shop? Do you like him?" Mia laughed. "No way. I don't even know him. He's just interesting." Claire wasn't convinced. "Interesting, huh? Sounds like someone's got a crush." Mia rolled her eyes, but later that night she couldn't stop thinking about it. Did she like him? Sure, she thought he was cute, and yes, she did feel a tiny spark every time their eyes met. But was that enough to call it liking someone? 3. The little things that give it away. The thing about liking someone is that it doesn't always hit you like a thunderbolt. Sometimes it sneaks up on you in the smallest ways, and for Mia, it was all about the little things. 1. Her heart raced around him. Every time he walked past her table, she felt her pulse quicken. It wasn't a full-blown panic attack or anything, but it was enough to make her hands tremble slightly as she pretended to focus on her book. 2. She noticed his quirks. She started picking up on tiny details about him, how he always wore mismatched socks, how he tapped his fingers on the counter while waiting for his coffee, and how his smile had a way of lighting up the whole room. 3. She thought about him more often. Even when she wasn't at the coffee shop, random things reminded her of him. A song on the radio, a line in her book, even the smell of freshly brewed coffee. 4. She felt nervous but excited. Whenever there was a chance they might talk, Mia felt a mix of nerves and excitement. It was like standing at the edge of a diving board, ready to jump. 4. The coffee spill incident. One day, something happened that Mia would never forget. She was at her usual table, sipping her latte, when she noticed him walking toward the counter. Her heart skipped a beat. But then, disaster struck. The barista accidentally spilled coffee all over the counter, and in the chaos, Mia instinctively jumped up to help. As she grabbed napkins and started cleaning, he smiled at her and said, "Thanks for saving the day." Mia froze. Was he talking to her? She managed a nervous laugh and replied, "Well, someone had to step in before it got worse." They ended up chatting for a few minutes, and Mia learned his name, Ethan. He was friendly, easygoing, and had a laugh that made her stomach flip. As Ethan left with his coffee, he gave her a small wave. "See you around, Mia," he said. Wait, how did he know her name? 5. confusion and self-doubt. That night, Mia replayed the conversation in her head at least a dozen times. Was she imagining the connection, or was there something real there? She couldn't help but overanalyze every little detail. Did he smile at her longer than usual? Did the way he said her name mean anything? Her best friend Claire was no help. Mia, you're overthinking. Just go with the flow. But going with the flow wasn't exactly Mia's style. She wanted answers, and she wanted them now. 6. The turning point. A few days later, Mia walked into the coffee shop, determined to keep things casual. She wasn't going to let her feelings turn her into a nervous wreck. But then she saw Ethan sitting at a table, reading a book, the same book she'd been reading last week. Her heart skipped a beat. Was this a coincidence, or had he picked up the book because of her? Summoning all her courage, Mia walked over and said, "Hey, how's the book?" Ethan looked up, surprised but pleased. "Oh, hey, it's great so far. I remember seeing you reading it, so I thought I'd give it a try." Mia couldn't hide her smile. They ended up talking for hours, discovering shared interests and laughing over little jokes. By the time they said goodbye, Mia felt lighter than she had in weeks. She didn't have all the answers, but one thing was clear. She liked him. And maybe, just maybe, he liked her too. 7. How to know when you like someone. Mia's realization. As Mia walked home that day, she thought about everything she'd experienced over the past few weeks, and she realized that liking someone isn't always about big, dramatic moments. Sometimes it's about the little signs. You think about them more than you'd like to admit. You notice the smallest details about them. Their presence makes your day better, even if nothing extraordinary happens. You feel nervous but happy when they're around. For Mia, liking Ethan wasn't just about how he looked or how he made her feel in the moment. It was about how he made her curious, excited, and most importantly, happy. 8. The first real step. A week later, Ethan surprised Mia by asking if she wanted to grab dinner sometime. Her heart practically leaped out of her chest, but she managed to play it cool. "Sure, that sounds great," she said, trying not to smile too hard. That evening, as she got ready for their first official date, Mia couldn't help but laugh at how clueless she'd been at the start. Liking someone wasn't as complicated as she'd made it seem. It was just about letting her heart guide her, even when her brain tried to overthink everything. Resolution and takeaway. Mia's story is a reminder that figuring out your feelings can be a messy, confusing process, but that's what makes it exciting. If you're wondering whether you like someone, just pay attention to how they make you feel. Do they make your world a little brighter? Do they occupy your thoughts in the best way possible? If the answer is yes, then maybe it's time to take a chance, and who knows, that one little step could lead to something amazing. If you enjoyed this story and want more relatable tales about love, life, and everything in between, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Share your own stories in the comments. We'd love to hear them. See you in the next video.